Would you like more of God's blessing in your life? Who wouldn't, right? Everybody wants God to bless their life. Well, there's a key to blessing. There's a doorway into blessing that most people don't realize. And it's this: suffering is the doorway into blessing. If we go through and use the key of humility, suffering with humility brings us into the place of blessing. And that's what happened to Job. We talked about him. He had great business, great family. His 10 children were killed in one day. His business totally destroyed in one day. His health taken away in one day. He suffered, and he suffered greatly. But at the end of his suffering, he came through with humility. He came through with worship. He came through with a bigger view of God. And so in Job 42:10, one of my favorite verses, it says, God gave Job twice as much as he had before. God renewed, God restored, God made Job prosperous again. His business began to flourish again. His life began to flourish again. His health began to flourish again. God turned everything upside down because he went through his suffering. When he humbled himself and he thought about other people, he prayed for his friends, then God turned his situation around. Verse 11 says that his family came to see him. His friends came to see him. They all brought him a gold coin. His financial situation, he'd lost everything, totally turned around. And one day, his relationship with his family, who thought, well, this guy's suffering, he must have sinned. His friends who said, you must have sinned because you're suffering. All that changed when Job humbled himself and allowed his suffering to bring him to a place of blessing. It says in verse 12 that God blessed the latter half of Job's life more than the former half. He was the most blessed man you can imagine. He had the biggest business possibly on the whole earth. He had 10 beautiful children. He had good health. Well, the last part of his life, better than that because of the suffering, the great suffering he experienced. He had 10 more children. 10 more. His business, twice as big as it was before. His family, he had 10 more children. You say, why? He lost 10 children. Why wouldn't he have 20 more children? Well, he still had the 10. They were in heaven. So he added 10 more. That gave him 20. So he had double the number of children. He had 70 more years. He was 70 years old when he came to this point of humility leading to blessing. You said, why didn't God give him another 140 years? Well, God gave him twice as much. He already had 70 plus 70. It added up to 140. So he got a ton of blessing. But don't forget, it started when he lost everything, and his response was to worship. It says he got on his face and he worshiped. He said, I didn't come into this world with anything. I'm going to go out of this world with nothing. God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. When he lost his health, his wife said, curse God and die. And he said, can't we accept from God bad things as well as good things? He had an attitude of worship. It says that he went through his suffering. He didn't charge God falsely, and he didn't sin. He went through his suffering without sin. Don't let your suffering become an excuse to sin against God. Don't let your suffering become an excuse to sin against others. Do the right thing, no matter what's going on around you, no matter how you feel, no matter what you're going through, do the right thing. When we go through suffering with the right attitude and the right responses, we have just walked through a tunnel, walked through a passageway that leads us to greater blessing. I want you to be blessed, but I want you to do it God's way, and God can bless you more and better than you possibly can imagine. I'm Dave Earley. We do this type of Bible teaching every day. Join us. You can follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this video with your friends. Put it on your page. Let's allow God to be glorified in our lives as we have the right responses to what's happening around us. God bless you.